What's up? Thanks for tuning in. Happy holidays. It's time for tennis. I got my hoodie on because I'm super insecure about my hair. Somebody left a comment and it really hurt my feelings. If you guys want to hit like and subscribe, that would definitely boost my sense of self-worth a little bit. So I'm kidding. I do have my hoodie on though because my hair is legitimately kind of ridiculous looking. I got that bed head and sometimes I like to have my hair this way, but I'm kind of trying to go this way now. And there's a little bit of an adjustment period. So, I mean, geez, I'll show you guys. All right, but that's why I got my hoodie on. Also, there's a little bit of reverb in here that's mildly distracting. So yeah, might as well keep the hoodie on for this video, right? Just for fun. I started it that way, I'm gonna finish it that way. So this video is gonna be about my two current rackets that I have. So if you look back at my past videos, I talked about why I'm selling my etc. You know, I got the VCORE 97, I sold that. I'm selling my Babolat, or Babolat, whatever, I don't know how you say it. It's a French name anyway, so I don't think you're supposed to say the T, right? This is a 27.5 VCORE 95. It's the new VCORE, obviously, and a lot of people have been telling me to get this racket. They think I'm gonna like it, and I can see why I've been getting that suggestion. So I'm gonna talk about this one first. Nothing personal, I'll come back to you later. This one is 27.5, and the stock swing weight is said to be 316, according to Tennis Warehouse. So if you add a half an inch, that should add 20 points of swing weight. So the math sort of works out so that every quarter inch that you add should add about 10 units of swing weight. So 316 plus 20, since this is half an inch, would be 336 swing weight. That's going to depend a little bit based on how thick your strings are and if you're using a dampener. So I'm using 16 gauge and I'm using a dampener that actually weighs about 4 grams. It's a little bit heavy. Again, this is a custom dampener. And I'll talk about these things a little bit more at a different time, why I have all these custom things. But my point is, my racket is probably somewhere in the mid 340s or something, the way that I have it set up. So I'm not exactly sure. The Angell is quite heavy. That's actually 364.5 swing weight, which is really, really high, but it's also a whole half inch longer. But in theory, I think if I was to extend this a whole inch, the swing weight would still, in theory, be a little bit lower than that. Now, it might not actually work out that way because to extend this racket, I'm gonna have to add quite a bit of material in the handle just to extend it an inch. So there's gonna be some weight that's added, but it's mostly just in the handle area, so it might not affect swing weight too much, but again, I'm not really sure. So the whole reason I really appreciate this XTP butt cap, if you guys don't know, is it's a sleeve essentially. It's a butt cap and a sleeve kind of combined into one part, and you can essentially just remove the butt cap that comes stock on your racket and slide one of these on there, and it'll extend your racket half an inch. And if you're happy with that, that's great. You just have a racket that is now a half inch longer with the XTP butt cap. But for me, it's a way to really trial the playability of an extended length version of this racket. So if I really like this VCORE 95 at this extended length, I might pay a professional or possibly even do a DIY thing where I extend the racket myself. But the thing is that the XTP butt cap does cause a little bit of a bulge here. But like a lot of things with time, you just kind of get used to it. But at the same time, I feel like it's making this 4 1/4 grip feel like maybe almost 4 3/8 grip. And that's a little bit bigger than I wanted. So I think if I really do like this, I'm probably going to go the route of getting it extended professionally. But like I said, it might be good enough for you, and it's a very cheap and affordable way to extend a racket, and you might just be happy playing with it as it is anyway. And yeah, so this is one of my main rackets. I really like it. I appreciate the suggestion of the VCORE 95. Some of my preferences have been that I really want 20 cross strings for some reason. I also really want to find an extended racket, or a racket that I can extend and basically play my best tennis with the longest racket possible. So that's going to require that I have a racket that starts at a pretty low swing weight if I'm going to extend it, because extending it a full inch, which is kind of what I'm trying to do, is going to add about 40 points of swing weight, which is a lot. But like I said, I can play tennis well with this TC95 over here, and that's 364 swing weight, which is really high. And as far as I can tell, I can play just fine with it. It's heavy in terms of swinging it, but I don't really know for sure yet if I can actually handle it or not. So that's going to take a little time to figure out. This is fine. This is very easy to play with, definitely easier to play with, but yeah, if I can make it a little longer, I think I would like to. So for now, I really like it. I'm getting to know it. Unfortunately, the weather is kind of not allowing me to play tennis as often as I want to. But as of all the rackets I've tested, this and this are the two favorites so far. I basically tried all the rackets that are worthy of a real tennis player in the extended length options, right? And I made a video about that, how limited the extended length options are. And it really bothers me because anyone that wants an extended length racket, basically all the options out there are completely ridiculous. Like they have a 115-inch square head and they weigh like 9 ounces, which is just such a dumb racket. Nobody should play tennis with that, even if you're a beginner. Like literally that almost shouldn't even exist as a racket. But for some reason, there's a lot of those, but there's almost no real tennis racket. Like how come there's no VCORE 95 that's extended half an inch? Or you know what I mean? The only options are really a couple of Babolat rackets, the Pure Drive and the Pure Arrow, and a couple of Yonex rackets, the EZONE 98 and the EZONE 100, and the VCORE 98 and the VCORE 100. And that's pretty much it. There's a couple of Prokenex rackets, but that's not a very popular brand in most countries. And in my opinion, that racket is always so mushy. I think the technology on the Prokenex rackets are kind of cool, but the rackets always just feel so mushy, and I can never get past that. Like I hit the ball, and after a certain point, it feels like I'm just not allowed to hit the ball any harder. Like no matter how much harder I swing, the ball never comes off any faster. So you can say what you want about it being the player, not the racket, but I kind of hate that saying. It's about the player, not the racket. But you know, you got to find your racket at the same time, and that's the journey I'm on. So I'm kind of sick of hearing that, to be honest. Anyway, I'm really fixated on trying to get as long of a racket as I can, like I've said. And Angell is basically the only company I'm aware of out there. And I think there's maybe one or two others, but they're like super small. Almost nobody knows about them. And Angell is probably the best example of a racket company that makes custom rackets. So they have a lineup of rackets, and TC is the line of rackets. And I think that stands for Total Custom. And they have a couple of variations, like some of them are like a 95-inch, 98 or 97, sorry, and 100 and 101-inch head size. I think they have a couple of other options. So you can pick things from like string pattern to head size. You can pick your weight and your balance, and you can pick your grip size. And my favorite is you can also pick the length. You can pick any length between 27 and 28 within a 1/4 inch increment. So you can pick 27.5, 27.25, etc. So I picked 28. I figured if it's too long for me, I can always cut it down however much I want to cut down. And you know, so I just wanted to do that because I really don't want to find a retail racket that I have to do some weird modification to extend. I'd rather the racket just come long enough and I can cut it down. And I get that almost nobody's going to want to do that. I'm not expecting the retail market to start accommodating players with 28-inch rackets and then, you know, you can just cut it down to whatever length you want. I really think almost nobody would want to do that. I, for the longest time, really didn't want to get a racket that I had to customize at all. Like outside of putting my strings on it and maybe a leather base grip, I didn't want to add leather, or I didn't want to add lead tape. I didn't really want to do anything. And obviously the last thing I would want to do is like hacksaw the handle, but I guess my preferences have changed a little bit over the years. So my point is that I'm open to that kind of stuff, but I don't think most people are. So there's a little bit about me and where I'm at with my racket journey and why I'm trying to find a racket that, you know, I can play my best tennis with at the longest length possible. Basically, my philosophy is that just like if you're a taller person, you're going to want taller fitting clothes. I feel like if you're a taller person, maybe a longer racket would be more proportional to your height. Now, I still think that you should get whatever length racket works for you. But consider this, like there's so many variables in terms of the rackets you can get. They have so many string patterns out there, right? Well, not too many, but you know, they have a few. They have so many different weights and balances and beam thicknesses and stuff like that. There's so many variables and specs, but they really have no options or variety when it comes to length. Why? You know? They have so many other specs out there to choose from, but they have very little to offer in terms of length. And I think that's ridiculous. I think that there would be a lot more people playing with extended length rackets if the retail market decided to normalize it a little bit more. So I think a lot of people are against extended length rackets simply because the market doesn't make it, right? It's one of those cyclical things. It's like, well, the market doesn't make it because there's no demand for it. And I'm over here saying, well, there's no demand for it because the market doesn't make it, right? And it's as I said on my video before, there are a lot of players on the tour that actually use an extended length racket. So it's not uncommon in the professional world to play with a longer racket than retail at all. For some reason, 27 inches is the number that has been standardized. I have no idea why. It'd be interesting to hear about the history on that. I understand that 27-inch is easier to play with, but at the same time, the RF97 is one of the most popular rackets out there, and that is a very, very heavy racket stock. I mean, you have to consider that everybody talking about how extended length rackets are too heavy to swing. I'm thinking, okay, but the RF97 is a super popular racket, and that racket is definitely way out of the league of a lot of players that are buying it. So really, the reason people buy the RF97 is because Roger Federer is endorsing it. It's not because they think, oh, a 12-something ounce racket is going to be the best racket for me. So it really has to do with the marketing, and it bothers me, because I'm personally very affected by the fact that the retail market basically offers nothing in terms of the 28-inch. So I am on a very, very intense journey to find a racket that works for me, and I want to come to a close on the journey soon, just because I feel like my tennis has been distracted for so long looking for this perfect racket with all these very specific specs that are so hard to find. And yeah, but that's what I want to do. It's the journey that's kind of brought purpose to my tennis for me, at least personally, right? So I mean, you got to do what you love doing. I'm not a tournament player. I'm not a professional player. If I take time off to figure out what's going on with my rackets and stuff, that's fine, because that's what keeps me playing. If I felt like I'm not allowed to do that, then I probably just wouldn't have fun and I wouldn't be playing tennis. But I love getting a new racket, getting excited for it, thinking, you know, maybe this is the one. I'm going to get to know it, and I take it out on a few dates and we hit. And maybe we stick around for a while, maybe we don't. Maybe we part ways and I, you know, throw it up on eBay and someone else will try it. But yeah, these are the two that stick for now. The Angell TC95 at 28 inches and the VCORE 95 at 27.5 inches. So again, if I really like that racket, I'm probably going to get it extended longer professionally, but we'll see. There's a lot of A and B going on right now, but the weather isn't allowing me to play quite as often as I want, but that'll change soon and I'll still get to hit on the days that allow it. And yeah, that's the gist of my racket journey for now. I do have a couple of rackets that I'm looking into. I'm looking into the AeroPro Versus. That one looks pretty promising. It's a 1620. The swing weight is around 323, not too heavy. That'd put it around the swing weight of this if I extend it to 28, I think. And I also have the V-Cell, or what is it called? It's the Vocal V-Feel V8 Pro or something very awkward and unmemorable, but it's an 18 by 20, 100 square inch head size, very low swing weight. It's 316 stock, just like the VCORE 95 is. So that sounds like a promising racket on paper. I ordered it. It should be here in a couple days, and I'm probably going to slip on another XTP Buttcap on that one. So I'll have a couple of 27.5 options, and I'll have this guy at 28. So that's where I'm at. Those are my rackets. I'll be talking about them a little bit more, but I wanted to make a little update video to let you guys know what I'm hitting with and what I'm looking for. So yeah, thanks for watching. Also, stay tuned for a future video. I'm going to be doing reviews on this, some of the products from this company called VT Advantech. They sent me some strips. I'll be talking about these. I'm generally not trying to add weight to my rackets, right? Because I'm already extending them. So anything that will increase the swing weight is going to really make it harder to deal with the extra length. So I got to be careful about that. But for now, I can handle a little bit of weight on the head on the VCORE 95 that I have here. So I'm excited to try some of these strips by VT Advantech. You can check them out. I'll leave some links in the description, and they promise to add stability to your racket and have a pretty significant dampening effect without losing your sense of feel. So I think the idea here is that while a dampener dampens the string vibration, you can really do a lot more to dampen the vibration when you address it on the frame level without necessarily affecting how the strings feel. So there's definitely some interesting philosophy to this VT Advantech strip, so I'm excited to try it, and I'll let you guys know what I think. So yeah, stay tuned for a future video where I talk about this and their leather grips as well, which I'm a big fan of. They're the only grips that I put on the base of my rackets now, so I'm a big fan. All right, I'll see you there. Happy New Year, happy holidays, and I hope you're getting to hit, because the weather here isn't really allowing it for now, but I'm excited to be back out there. All right, see you later.